Okay, now before we get into the modeling itself, let us go ahead and set up the costs, because the costs are not the same going from January through April, because in March the cost is going to go up 10%. So in January, that will be the cost for the first motor A, and that will be the cost for motor B. In February, it is the same as in January. Okay, but come March, so it will be that times 1 plus, it's going to go up by 10%. Right, so make that absolute reference. So that'll be $22. Okay, copy that down. Okay, now we can't copy it across like that, because then you will increase March cost by 10% in April again. But in April, it's going to be the same as March, because it's going to go up in March and stay same after that. Okay. Now we wouldn't have to do this, but for the cost increase in March. Otherwise, it'll be just 20 and 15 all the way through. So we don't have to really set this up. We can simply add all the quantities and multiply by 20 and 15. So because the cost was going up by 10%, we had to set this up in this fashion. All right. So now how many units we're going to produce of each of the two motors in each of the 4 months? That's our changing cell. So let's color code it like that. All right. So now we have to set up the model for inventory. Okay, so we're going to produce, and what will be available after production, what will be the demand, and what will be the ending inventory. Okay, so we don't have any initial inventory at the beginning. So if there was any initial inventory in the beginning, we have to take that into account. So in January, right after production, okay, so we're going to set this up, one set for the first motor, another set for the second motor. Okay, so available after production is just simply what we produced. Okay, if there was any initial inventory coming in, that's already available, then you'll have to add that to this. So available after production for the very first month is just that, right? Then demand, okay, we have demand coming from here. That's our order schedule, right? Now ending inventory, okay, is going to be what is available minus what is demand. Now remember, we have to make sure that we are able to meet the demand in the month where there is demand. So which means we cannot have negative ending inventory. And we'll take care of that in solver with a constraint. So if either we can say ending inventory has to be greater than or equal to 0, or we can say available after production must be greater than or equal to demand. Both will amount to the same thing. And that will make sure that we will be able to meet the demand in the same month. So that's our ending inventory for January, right? So which means that will be the beginning inventory for February. So what is available after production in February would be the ending inventory coming from January, okay, plus what gets produced in February. So when you have multiple time periods that we have to take care of, you have to figure out these flow constraints, the inventory flowing from 1 month to the next, one period to the next period to the next period. So that, okay, and then these two now can be copied across, and that can be copied across. And we will say that production available after production must be greater than or equal to demand. So that will make sure that the ending inventories are never negative. So that would mean that you will meet the demands in the month when there is the demand. I mean, there won't be any back orders. Okay. Now, April ending inventory requirement. So we have April, how much ending inventory we'll have. So that will be the April ending inventory. And we have a requirement for April ending inventory, which is, okay, right here. So that's that. So that must be greater than or equal to. Okay, let's center that. So it'll be nice and clean. So now we have the same kind of formulas for the GM3B motor. So January production, January availability after production is just production because there is no initial inventory. And then the demand is that. Okay, ending inventory is that minus that. Okay. And available after production for February is the ending inventory plus production, which can then be copied. The reason why we had to do February separately is because it's different from January. So we had to set February up separately and then copy. Whereas for demand and ending inventory, it's the same formula for January through April. So it is sufficient to set up just for January and copy. Now, actual ending inventory for April is that, and the required is here. Again, that must be greater than or equal to